Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. WWE gave us Smackdown tonight, and they called an audible. They had a whole bunch of stuff planned that they decided to throw away, which is not uncommon for WWE creative at the start of any network television show, but they did so with good reason. The Undertaker has announced that he is no longer going to be competing in the ring. He made this revelation on the final part of his documentary series on the WWE Network, The Last Ride, which has been a fantastic and emotional journey that any wrestling fan, especially fans of The Undertaker, absolutely must see. And then they wanted to have a tribute show. They wanted to turn tonight's SmackDown into a tribute show for The Undertaker, and they couldn't even get that right. And we are going to go over all of it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's SmackDown Undertaker Tribute Special Review and Reaction Show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You know, if you guys are having a hard time remaining a wrestling fan, if you're having a hard time finding a reason to care, I'm with you, and I say you're justified. And there are a multitude of reasons why you could feel that way. It's tough to be a wrestling fan right now. It's a tough time for wrestling in general. Between the speaking out movement, sweeping through the industry, wiping it clean of a lot of garbage that doesn't deserve to be part of this industry, or the recent news of an outbreak of positive results in virus testing amongst WWE talents and extras that have been at the Performance Center over the last couple of weeks. And then there's the very shady nature in which the WWE is going about handling the whole entire situation, which has been terrible since the start of the whole entire pandemic. And then compound that with reports coming out today, being reported by Fightful.com and Sean Ross Sapp, that the Velveteen Dream was hospitalized after suffering some injuries in a car accident. He has since been released. Not many details are available as of this recording. But how much bad news can we take? It's just been like gut punch after gut punch. And so I don't fault you for turning away from pro wrestling right now. I don't fault you guys for not being invested, because there's way more besides the creative aspect of the show that is probably keeping a lot of you away. And I want you to know that you're justified in that. Everybody's allowed to feel however it is you guys want to feel. But the WWE wanted to make you guys feel good tonight, and they wanted to do something special, and they wanted to commemorate the greatest wrestling character that has ever been created in an industry where it was all about the gimmick, right? And everybody was loud and colorful and, flamboyant and boisterous. In 1990, there came this man, and he was over 6 feet tall, nearly 7 feet tall. He was dressed in all black. He didn't say anything more than 3 words, and he changed the face of the industry for decades. 30 years of service under the belt of The Undertaker, and he has gone from being the silent, maniacal creature of the night controlled by Paul Bearer to being an American badass and everything in between. From the Ministry of Darkness to the corporate ministry to the Brothers of Destruction to Big Evil, The Undertaker has been able to stay alive and stay relevant in the world of professional wrestling for 3 decades, which not many people can claim to do. And while there have been many famous names throughout professional wrestling that have decades in the industry, none of them have really changed their act to fit the times and really did anything to make their character evolve. They just rested on what they know, like a Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan. Like, these guys are who they are, and they're stuck in their shtick, and they never really changed a thing. Well, Hogan did the Hollywood thing, but really that's more close to who he is as a real person than anything. But you understand my point. The Undertaker, year after year, changed things ever so slightly. During the Attitude Era, he brought a little bit more reality to his character because he knew it was needed. This is a man that has been respected and beloved by everybody that has ever crossed his path. They call him the boss for a reason. The person that had that title before The Undertaker was Andre the Giant. It's just the guy everybody goes to, looks up to, respects. A guy that goes out there and does the best for the business, does what's best for the fans, gives his all every single time he goes out there. You know, in 1990, The Undertaker was everything I needed. Because much like right now, as we were transitioning into the 90s, I was kind of falling out of it with pro wrestling because we had that same old tropes just being thrown at us like Vince still does. Just keeps throwing the same shit at us week after week. And it was the Hogan thing. And then you had guys like Lex Luger who was just trying to be another Hogan. And you had the Warrior who was not really my guy. I was more of a Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat kind of fan. Jake the Snake Roberts, guys that were being relegated back to the mid-card so that Hogan and his buddies could run rampant up top. And it was just that same, USA shit. And I was about to turn 13 years old. And then came this Undertaker, and I had a reason to watch wrestling. I had a guy that just encapsulated everything that I needed at the time. It was gothic. It was different, it was edgy, and it wasn't this cookie-cutter baby bullshit that Vince McMahon was throwing at us with wrestling plumbers and guys coming out eating turkey legs, Bastion Booger coming out wrestling in a diaper, Mantar, and all that other stupid shit. And then you had The Undertaker, which sounded like a stupid gimmick just like the rest of them, but there was something about it that was genuine, and it was different, and it just kept me involved. He kept my fandom strong, and it gave me something to latch onto, and I continued to follow The Undertaker for the next 30 years. And it's been a tremendous ride. Watching The Last Ride documentary, I related to him very much over the course of the last couple of years, being a gentleman who is up in his age. I'm in my 40s, guys, so when I started my wrestling training in 2019 and unfortunately, got hurt and have that urge to get back, and I hear The Undertaker and how he's talking, and I can't imagine just how it's probably eating at him. If it bothers me that much, and I've only had 9 months of training, imagine having a career and having to have to turn around and walk away because Father Time's knocking at your door telling you, listen, you just can't move like you used to. Your brain says you can, your heart says you can, but your body's just like, no, dude, we're not doing this. And I related very strongly, and it brought me to tears on multiple occasions. If you have not watched that documentary, go ahead and do it, and you will understand why the WWE shifted gears and decided to make an Undertaker tribute show. And if it's truly the last time, and I only say that, and I don't mean that as a disrespect to The Undertaker at all, but this is professional wrestling. How many times have people retired, said they were going to stay retired, and then only came back to do just one more match? We've seen it a million times. We've seen it most recently now happening to guys where we thought it was an impossibility. Edge is back. Daniel Bryan has come back. These are people who are thought to be done. And now they're having a resurgence, and in that case, it's fine. But when you reach the age of The Undertaker, guys like Ric Flair, and when they come back, it's just not the same. It's not the same. You worry about them. And it diminishes your enjoyment of them. So if The Undertaker opened up his eyes and he's smart about this, and he's looking at that match he had with AJ at WrestleMania, and he's like, man, I don't think whatever I do next is going to be any better than that, and I'm going to bow out here, and if this is truly the final time we will have seen The Undertaker, I think I'll be okay with it. I think he earns the right for us to be okay with it. It's almost like whether or not you're okay with it doesn't matter. Because he has imprinted his legacy on this business. He's bigger than the business. He actually could have wrapped everything up with the end of an era. After that trio of matches at WrestleMania between himself and Shawn Michaels and Triple H. He could have walked away right there, and his legacy would have been exactly what it is today. He could have walked away when Brock Lesnar beat him at WrestleMania 30, which many people at this point, considering what has come since then, think he should have done it then. But he didn't, and the next couple of years were filled with ups and downs. Another loss at WrestleMania, questioning himself, coming back for the Saudi Arabia shows, not performing to the best of his ability, knowing this and doing everything he can to redeem himself, and he's had small moments of greatness, and he was ready for a huge match with John Cena, but it ended up being short and sweet, and it got Undertaker back to a winning frame of mind at WrestleMania. But at this point, I think he's right. I think if he walks away here, it's great. And his legacy is not stained by the missteps of the last few years. The Undertaker lives forever. Which is ironic since he's the dead man, but you get it. That character, man, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. Not even a carbon copy in Kane could replicate just the magic and the sheer intrigue of The Undertaker. Here's a guy that said only 3 words, rest in peace, for like the first 2 years of his career. It was magic. Vince McMahon had a hand in that magic. Let's not, let's give the devil his due. When he's right, he's right. And when it came to Mark Calloway and The Undertaker, he was right. He was right. And they knocked it out of the park. What they didn't knock out of the park was this Undertaker Tribute show. Well, I did enjoy the testimonials by all the legends talking about what we just talked about, and probably a lot of similar words, talking about how this one-of-a-kind unique character just revolutionized and changed the business in multiple ways. I enjoyed that aspect of the show. I didn't mind the fact that they wanted to show the Boneyard match for a second time. A repeat in this scenario was fine with me, because watching this match now somewhat changes the context of it. When we first watched the Boneyard match, we were not aware that this was definitively going to be The Undertaker's last match. I mean, you always expect The Undertaker to come back, right? So you've seen him just go out there and have this knockdown, drag him out, theatrical, cinematic match with AJ Styles that looked great, and now you're like, oh, okay, well, The Undertaker's back around, we'll see him again, and I hope they do something like that one more time. But now, watching it tonight, after the announcement, knowing that that was going to be the curtain call for the dead man, it gave you a new respect for the segment. It gave you a new appreciation for the segment. I'm going to actually go back again and watch it uncut, because having to deal with the commercials was the only thing that was annoying. It was just taking me out of the moment, and I really wanted to dive back into that match and really absorb it and really enjoy it as the final song for The Undertaker. And it did that. It elevated it to just a whole nother level, because this was a great way for him to go out. And we speculated, and you talked about it at the time, but we didn't know. But now that we know, when that match was over and he drove off into the darkness on the motorcycle. And his symbol that I have up here on the layout tonight was blazing in the background. What better ending can you get than that? I hope that he stays true to this. I think that anything that he does, to me, I mean, I'll always be there for it because he's the Undertaker and he's my guy. I've been the Undertaker on Halloween for multiple occasions. I was at Madison Square Garden in Survivor Series when he descended from the rafters. I was there for a lot of great Undertaker moments. And I remember so many of them. Sitting on my couch with my buddy Scott and just enjoying The Undertaker, man, and the Ministry of Darkness. It was awesome. So many characters were born just from the existence of The Undertaker. Guys like Vader even were pushed a little bit more because of a character like The Undertaker. Mankind was created simply so that The Undertaker had a threat. The list goes on and on. Kane, created for The Undertaker, and has gone on to be his own thing ever since. It's unbelievable. It's unreplicable. It'll never happen again. And I'm glad that I was blessed to be alive during the time of the dead man. Unbelievable. Now I have to go to the part of the show where we have to bring out the poop hammers. Because you give me a good time. You gave me a good time. I was ready. Are you ready for a good time? I definitely was. And you gave me a good time. We had a good time together watching and reliving some of The Undertaker's best moments throughout the night. And then you want to come out of that and give me Baron Corbin. King Dickhead himself, Constable Suck-Ass, Baron Corbin. He's going to trash The Undertaker tonight, which is senseless, because if The Undertaker's not going to come back to wrestle, there's no point in him practically calling out The Undertaker, talking about how he was a loser and he's a has-been, and saying all this ridiculous shit that Constable Dickhead King Corbin shouldn't be speaking at all. Nonsense. And I would have much preferred them show more highlights of The Undertaker's career. And just make it be Undertaker Night, show us some of his greatest matches, some of his greatest promos, some of his greatest segments. Then have to deal with what they decided was a proper tribute to The Undertaker. So Baron Corbin's talking shit about The Undertaker, all for them to build up this match that's going to be the main event of the evening, where Jeff Hardy's going to fight for the honor of The Undertaker and take on Constable Dickhead King Baron Corbin. And I'm asking why. I understand Jeff Hardy had that great match with The Undertaker on Raw where he took The Undertaker to the limit and The Undertaker nearly killed him on multiple occasions, but Jeff Hardy stood strong, earned the respect of The Undertaker that night. Great moment, great moment. What does that have to do with tonight? 20 years after it's friggin' happened? Not much. There's been no connection between Jeff Hardy and The Undertaker at all since then. So this was a stretch. And then you have Baron Corbin, who nobody wants to see anyway. What he has to do with anything with The Undertaker, I don't know. Why he's going to be the main event, who knows? And none of it made any sense. None of it made any sense. So they immediately dropped the quality of the show and took me right out of it. And all I was doing for the rest of the night was looking forward to anything that they wanted to do with The Undertaker. Anything they were going to talk about or get back to with The Undertaker. Which wasn't as much as you might assume, being that it's an Undertaker Tribute show. You'd think he'd be all over the show. But once we got past the Boneyard match, it was few and far between. We did get a fatal four-way in the women's division to decide who's going to be challenging Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And there's not one person in this match that should be challenging for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Dana Brooke? Do I even have to go there? Do I even have to go there? Has she even been on TV until the last couple of weeks? When everybody decides they don't want to come to work, now they got a spot for you, Dana. You don't care about contracting any pandemic virus. You're just going to ruin my time on TV because I don't want to see Dana Brooke. You don't want to see Dana Brooke. Yet here we are. And not only do we have to see her, she's going to get a shot at a championship if she wins this match. Because, you know, she deserves it. Lacey Evans, bam, bam. Another title match. If I win this one. How many times is she going to be put in that position? A position none of us wanted her in the first place. So these two women immediately, went to my least wanted list as far as who's going to win this match. And then you have Nicky Cross and Alexa Bliss, tag team partners, going at it to see who's going to fight the champ. And you would think they would give it to Alexa, not that it would have been the right move, but they did something surprising here and they gave the shot to Nicky Cross. We've seen Nicky Cross versus Bayley before, but I just don't understand the point. Asuka is going to be fighting Sasha Banks, so now we are going to have Nicky Cross versus Bayley, I guess, at Extreme Rules. So by tagging this thing a horror show, you're definitely giving it the right subtitle, because it's shaping up to be a horror show. I don't understand what the point of Bayley versus Nicky Cross for the Women's Championship is. Is Nicky Cross going to beat Bayley? I doubt it. Is it going to cause tension between her and Alexa Bliss? Who knows? Is that the intent? I don't care. I don't care. This is just lazy. It's uninspired. None of the women involved truly have stake in the championship match. Bliss and Cross have been in the tag team division. Just because you were tag team champions doesn't mean you get to be world heavyweight champion. It doesn't work that way. But the WWE doesn't know how any of this works. But here we have Nicky Cross defeating Bam Bam and good old stretch face Dana Brooke and Alexa Bliss. And it was a waste of time. It was a waste of time. It was filler. It was filler. Sorry, Dana, but you were still filler. Triple H and Shawn Michaels talked about the Undertaker's longevity in his career and the loyalty that he had to the company. See, this is the type of stuff that I was enjoying on this night. I did not enjoy another random 8-man tag pairing together the same pairs of teams that we seen just a few weeks ago, only subbing out, subbing the Miz and Morrison with the Forgotten Sons, right? It was the Forgotten Sons and Shinsuke and Cesaro versus the New Day and the Lucha House Party, if I'm not mistaken. Literally the same match. So just because you lost those guys, because one of them happens to be a jackass and talks too much shit on Twitter, you decided to restart the angle from the beginning? Did you go back to that segment? So, we're going to use that segment. We got to go back to that segment because that's the starting point. We don't know how to reset things unless we go back to the starting point. We can't do anything new. I don't get it. Nothing here at stake. Nothing matters. The Miz and John Morrison were just considered by the WWE creative to be contenders for Braun Strowman's championship around his gigantic shoulders. And now here they are, losing to the Lucha House Party. Somebody explain that to me. I mean, not that they deserve to be opposite Braun Strowman, but, I mean, you would think if they thought they were main event material and that they could carry the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship, rather, with Braun Strowman and make that an angle and make that... Is this their punishment for failing so miserably? And is this their punishment for making that stupid song that the WWE had to play? Like, why are they losing to the Lucha Brothers? It doesn't make sense. Lucha House Party, Lucha Brothers, whatever I'm saying. I don't care. There's too much luchas going on right now. Too many of them. This was a useless filler-type segment where the most entertaining thing to me was watching Big E Langston roll down the ramp. Like, he literally laid down and rolled his way to the ramp. Everything else after that was meh. Wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just there. Another 8-man tag, Teddy Long special, because they don't know what to do with the tag team division. Then they did this very strange thing with Braun Strowman. They had him out there to cut a promo in response to Bray Wyatt. And he starts laughing like a maniac as Bray Wyatt's laugh started playing in the background. And it was very awkward and very weird. It made him look psychotic and goofy, and it just didn't come off well for the champ here. Bottom line is, Braun Strowman has accepted Bray Wyatt's challenge, I guess. And he wants to go home. We're going to go home. So we're going to go to the swampy marshes of the Wyatt family compound. They're calling it a swamp match already. The Wyatt Swamp Match. Featuring Swamp Thing, possibly. I don't know. I don't know what they have in store, but it looks like they're taking the cinematic route, which can be either really good, like we've seen with the Boneyard match, or it could be somewhat bad when it comes to Bray Wyatt and cinematic matches. I am not a fan of what they did with him and John Cena at WrestleMania. I am not a fan of what they have done so far at all with the Bray Wyatt character as far as these cinematic things are going. So I'm skeptical at best to see how this is all going to play out, but it will most certainly lead to Extreme Rules being a horror show. And I think the WWE just tagged it with that tagline so that, we can't give it to it when we all bring our hammers down on it when we review this pay-per-view, when they have it infect our eyeballs in a couple of weeks. This Braun Strowman promo was ridiculous. It was the most scripted nonsense I have ever heard. He talked about when he was with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt one time swamped. Yeah, he swamped it. He smacked a water moccasin in the face, which I guess is like a snake. A water snake in the swamp. And the snake bit Bray Wyatt in the face, and Bray Wyatt just kept laughing. And Strowman says he realized that Bray Wyatt is the devil. Bray Wyatt was the serpent, which doesn't make sense. Was he biting himself? I don't know. So Strowman was so impressed that he began to do the devil's work. He then said he did evil things, and he liked to do those evil things, and he's tried to put that all aside. He doesn't want to be Braun Wyatt, because Braun Wyatt is a maniac. But now Bray Wyatt is forcing Braun Wyatt to come back into the fold, and the Brown Snowman is now going to be this other version of himself, this more monstrous monster among men. And Bray Wyatt's supposed to be afraid. And Bray Wyatt's got the Fiend in his back pocket, and he's got his cult leader personality, which seems to be successfully manipulating the mind of Braun Strowman. If all of this is happening, and it doesn't end with Bray winning the championship, then it's all for nothing. And I don't care at all. Then we finished the night with Jeff Hardy defeating King Corbin in if this was their send-off for The Undertaker, this was the best you had. Jeff Hardy beating Baron Corbin and then finishing the night striking The Undertaker's pose while staring at a picture of The Undertaker on the Titantron. This is how you ended this Undertaker Tribute special. Jeff Hardy defending the honor of The Undertaker's legacy. Was it necessary? Nah. I would have rather sat through a 2-hour clip show of The Undertaker's greatest hits. It would have been more respectful of a way for them to pay homage to this man who has given himself to this business, given so much to this company. And this is their tribute to him. It's like a mockery. It's like a mockery. They're so bad at putting on shows in the business that he loves, that The Undertaker loves so much. They're so bad at it that they can't even do him justice. And it's a crying shame. Just like this show. This show was a shame. It was a suck down of the highest order. Maybe next week we will see Sheamus' special toast to Jeff Hardy. Maybe next week we'll see AJ Styles versus Drew Gulak. Maybe next week there'll be no wrestling at the rate it's going. With all the controversy and people being fired and released for all of the reasons and more that we've talked about at the start of the show. I hope that wrestling gets better. I hope it gets better quickly. I hope it returns back to normal as soon as possible. And then maybe I will have the same passion that I used to have for this ridiculous sport, for which 2020 is just turning out to be the year of the hammer. I mean, but not in my way, not in the good way that I want it to be. Not in the good way. We said this was going to be the year of the hammer because we wanted to take over. But it's really the year of the hammer because it's just hammering the shit out of all of us. And the wrestling industry is no safer than anybody else. And while I am grateful for the speaking out movement, I am not grateful for the way the WWE has presented themselves, has put their talent in danger, has put the health and livelihoods of their friends and families in danger, and was surprised multiple times during tonight's show that people were shown not wearing masks, especially given the nature of the story that broke earlier today and yesterday about the positive tests. And it's a shit time. It's a shit time in pro wrestling. We don't know what's going on with SummerSlam, but we know we do have a horror show coming our way, which is usually what we know. Every WWE show is a friggin' horror show. And that's it. That's it. That's all we're going to talk about for this episode of SmackDown for this June the 26th, 2020. What a disrespect to The Undertaker. Thank you guys so much. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. The most important member of the team is each and every one of you, and now is the time where you get involved and you take action and you bring the hammer down on that like button if you enjoyed today's show. Bring the hammer down on that share button and give this video to each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they too feel like The Undertaker didn't truly get the respect he deserves and needs to get their agenda out, which you can do so in the comments down below. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on the Instagram, follow us wherever you can find us. And most importantly, come back for more. Make sure you hit that notification bell for all your professional wrestling and gaming and movie and TV review needs. We're going to be a review channel. We're not just going to be wrestling. And I know it goes against the grain of what everybody says you should do. But it is my channel, right? So we're going to do what we want. We're going to have a little experiment. I don't want to be running 5 different channels. I'm only one person. So I'm doing one channel, and we got a great PlayStation video. PlayStation 5 Top 10 Most Anticipated Original New Titles. Go check it out right now. And if that's not your thing, you can continue to check us out, bringing the hammer down on the world of professional wrestling. The Backlash review, the Raw review, everything is up for you, linked for your viewing pleasure. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.